Our continent has been humiliated through slavery.
Welcome back, beloved families. Thank you so much for passing by to click on this channel. So guys, there is amazing history narration and amazing speech by Lumumba. You guys know what he stands for. He always calling Africa to unite and narrate the history. But there is a kind of secret that he revealed today that you guys have never heard before. So I would like you guys to take a look and be able to listen. But please do well to encourage me to like, share, and drop your own comments. So take a look.
Because she is the mother continent. Our continent has been humiliated through slavery. History teaches us that 12,000 ships left the shores of Africa to take our kith and kin to the Caribbean, and that 1.8 million of them died. We never talk about those who died upon landing there. That 1.8 million of them died. We never talk about those who died upon landing there. When the project of enslavement lost its luster, they introduced yet another diabolical scheme, colonization. And through that colonization, they sat down in Berlin in 1884 and 1885 and divided us into spheres of influence. The French had their own, the Germans had their own, the British had their own, the Portuguese had their own, the United Kingdom or the English had their own. The Belgians had their own. And they sowed the seed of discord and mistrust in us. They came here and told the Hausa and the Fulani, the Yoruba are no good, and vice versa. They told the Igbo the same thing. They told the Kanuri the same thing. They told the Kalabari the same thing. Divide and rule was the philosophy that governed them. And we fought back because the black man has always fought back. As I stand here, I can, courtesy of history, see the fight back from the Caribbean. Sylvester Williams in Trinidad and Tobago holding the Pan-African meetings. We fought back. I can still see Marcus Garvey telling us to come back to the mother continent. We fought back. We fought back in the Caribbean. We fought back in the United States of America. Great names emerge. John Henry Clark, W.E.B. Du Bois, Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, Carter G. Woodson. We fought back. Then we met in 1945 in Manchester at the Pan-African Conference meeting, and on that occasion, the continent of Africa was represented. Kwame Nkrumah was there. Kamuzu Banda was there. Kenya's Jomo Kenyatta was there. Nigeria's Obafemi Awolowo was there. They were there. And we came back and fought the colonial project. And the colonial project was defeated. We can still hear the words of the Osagyefo Kwame Nkrumah in March of 1957, telling all who are listening that the independence of Ghana meant nothing unless the rest of Africa remained independent but under French control. Ahmed Sékou Touré said, "We prefer to live in dignity and poverty rather than to live in comfort and in slavery." And Guinea regained our independence in 1958. I can still remember the man for whom I am named, Patrice Emery Lumumba, writing from Tisville prison to his wife Josephine Opango and saying, "I know I will die, but Africa shall be governed by Africa and her story will be told by Africa." And I can still hear that. I can still hear Julius Kambarage Nyerere in 1962 telling Jomo Kenyatta, Apollo Milton Obote, and Edward Mutesa, "I'm prepared to delay the independence of Tanganyika that we may regain independence as one country," but they listen not. I can still hear David Dako of Central African Republic, then known as Ubangishari, saying that unity is important because it is the only thing that is going to immunize us against the vagaries of the neocolonial project. I can still hear Algeria's Ahmed Ben Bella and many others, Gamal Abdel Nasser. And I can see the 32 leaders assembled in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, between the 23rd to the 25th days of May 1963, each one of them inspired. Can still remember the speech of Haile Selassie, that of Nyerere, that of David Dako, but the most iconic of them, that of the Osagyefo Kwame Nkrumah, delivered on Saturday, the 25th day of May 1963, telling his audience, "We must unite now. Let us live here with one government, with one army, with one currency, with one capital. And I propose," he said on that day, "that the capital of Africa should be Leopoldville, now Kinshasa. But others can choose another." I can hear him. But we listened to him not. And we ended up with the Organization of African Unity, a week jamboree where African leaders attend and deliver speeches which are only mouth deep and heart absent. So that today, as we are gathered here, look at our continent. As we talk about new governance, what is it that we must do? Because we are here not to lament, we are here to prescribe solutions. John Henry Clark said that when African countries regained their independence, each one of them adopted a system of governance that was inherited from the colonizer. And I tell you the basis of those systems. And if you think that we call independence, look at what they did to Sylvanus Olympia in 1963. Togo has never been the same again. Look at what they did to Lumumba in 1961. The Democratic Republic of Congo has never been the same again. Look at what they did to Ahmed Ben Bella in Algeria. It has never been the same again. Look at what they did to Ahmed Sékou Touré in Guinea. Guinea has never been the same again. Look at what they did to Amilcar Cabral in Guinea-Bissau and Cabo Verde. It has never been the same again. Look at what they did in Sudan. It is at war. Look at what they did to John Garang Dimabior in South Sudan. Never the same again. Look at Somalia. Never the same again. Look at northern Mozambique. Not the same again. Look at the Sahel. What they did to Tomai Sidore Noel Sankara. Not the same again. That is the continent. That is why we are gathered here to ask ourselves the fundamental question. What systems of governance can we adopt in order to realize our potential? In 1965, the Osagie for Kwame Nkrumah wrote a book in which it is actually claimed, and for which he was removed from power. The book was Neocolonialism, the last stage of imperialism. And he says in the book it is the most dangerous because the colonialist is at his most desperate. He is desperate now. He is desperate and wants to destroy us. But what are we doing, we in the mother continent? Chinua Achebe writes in his book Things Fall Apart in 1958, he came, told us that our gods were bad. He told us that our governance systems were bad. He told us that our names were bad. He told us that our customs are bad, that our languages were bad, and our governance systems were bad. And we believed him. And because we believed him, we find ourselves in the space where we are. We inherited things that we cannot understand. So constantly on a daily basis, we are in a space where we climb trees to look for fish. We will never find fish in the trees. We must rethink how we are doing things. I never use the word democracy unless when I want to explain it away. Because what is democracy? Who defined it? The Greeks. It was good for them. The Americans redefined it. Abraham Lincoln saying it is a government of the people, for the people, and by the people. He defined it for themselves. When the Americans in Declaration of Independence are saying, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are born equal and that they are endowed by their Creator with certain alienable rights, that among those are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Slavery is alive and well. The civil rights movement is in 1960 when I'm alive. Which men were they talking about? Which democracy were they talking about? I talk about good governance. Because something must have been good amongst the Yoruba. That is why the Oni of Ife still makes sense. Something must have been good about the Emir of Kano. That is why it still makes sense. Something Mulan. That is why it still makes sense. Isn't there something that we can get from there and create our own? This Coca-Cola-ized democracy from Europe and America, why must we continue to have it? This is the question.
So, beloved family, you could heard the powerful speech by Lumumba, the histories that he narrated. A lot of us, a lot of us Africa do not actually know our history. What happened? You heard how many of the billions of our mothers, fathers, children that was taken to slavery, which was being unalive, that a lot of us have not heard, and a lot of things that he has spoken about Africa, because this is an eye-opening to every African people because a lot of us truly we do not know our history. This was a powerful speech. So guys, I don't know what you think. Do well to drop your own opinions and do well to encourage me to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.